Hello and welcome to The Insider. I'm Lisa Adams. Today we'll be talking about the Jefferson Educational Society's Civic Leadership Academy and the work it's doing to prepare, shape, and educate young professionals in our region to expand their roles in leadership. My guests today are Angela Beaumont, who is Director of Operations for the Jefferson Educational Society. Welcome. And two alums from the leadership program we have here, Jay Schaefer, who's a portfolio manager with Erie Insurance, and Yamora Shakur Hooker, who's a recovery consultant with Progressive Insurance. So great to have all three of you here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so let's start by learning a little bit about each of you. Angela, how long have you been involved with the Civic Leadership Academy, and tell us what it's all about?
Yes, I've been actually involved with the Leadership Academy since its beginning, since 2015. I participated in the first class of the Leadership Academy, so I learned the ropes from the early onset, and I have to say this is what really helped me later on directing the program as well.
So tell us what the mission of the Leadership Academy is and how you've seen it evolve over those years.
Yeah, so the Jefferson has done some research into why communities have these civic leadership academies. We're not the only ones. There are a lot of other cities who run similar programs, but the commonality is that there is a need in the communities to address issues and also make sure that young professionals are involved in the communities to address these issues.
So we have two great young professionals here. Jay, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what made you decide to go through this leadership program.
Sure, yeah. I learned about the program through Erie Insurance, who I was fortunate enough to have sponsor me to go through it. And so at Erie Insurance, I'm a portfolio manager, and a lot of what I do is external to the local community here in Erie, and so this was a great opportunity for me to get integrated locally. I've been here about 15 years, but as time went on, I kind of felt like as though I was a stranger in my own local community, just because I didn't have that same linkage that a lot of my fellow leaders in town have. And so this was a nice opportunity to kind of branch out and make new connections locally.
And so it made a difference for you?
It certainly did, yeah. I've met a lot of really great people who I otherwise wouldn't have had an opportunity to connect with, and learned a lot, frankly, around, state and local government, as well as a lot going on in the community, whether that be, through nonprofits or the private and public sectors as well.
So let's turn now to Yamora. How about you? What made you decide to get involved? And I know you also went on to what's called the Ramey Fellows program. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. But how about you? What made you choose to do this?
Well, I had some friends who were actually past alumni of the Jefferson Educational Society program. And they came to me and told me that they thought I would be a good fit. And since I am not native to Erie, I'm from Ohio, I was relatively new to the city and wasn't as engaged as I felt like I should have been. So I applied, and it was an amazing opportunity because, first of all, since I work from home for Progressive Insurance, it got me out of my house. It got me engaging with people who were like-minded and had similar ideas of wanting to help the community. And it also gave me an opportunity to start a network of people who I can always contact and we can always relate to, because we have always had this experience, as well as getting to know more about Pennsylvania government, which I was very unfamiliar with coming from Ohio.
We know quite a few more people work from home or maybe work in small co-working spaces these days. So how valuable is something like this in networking, but also, as you said, getting plugged into what's going on in the community, in the state?
Well, absolutely. It's extremely impactful because sometimes when you're working from home, everything is internal. So you work from home, you might be having things you do at home and you have your chores and things, so you don't have those opportunities to engage with your community. So it was an amazing experience to be able to first leave the home and to meet people. I felt like the Jefferson became my second home because we were there so much working on our projects. And again, you have that network of people that now you can see in town that work for different companies. You have other opportunities to volunteer and to be civically engaged and be able to make that impact in your new home, which is what I wanted to do.
Very cool. So, Angela, I know you're beginning to take applications for this year's civic leadership class. So, broadly, who should apply and why?
Applications are possible anytime now. We opened up our online portal for a very easy way of applying. You can also stop in at the Jefferson or mail in your application. We're looking particularly to engage young people, as I mentioned before, age 25 and 45. They should be in a professional position. Other than that, we're asking, can you please document your maybe prior experience in public engagement? Maybe you've been part of a church organization or done some volunteering activities, so please list those out. And then we will invite you for a personal interview and go from there.
Yamora, you mentioned that some friends who had been through it recommended it to you. So would you be recommending this to other people that you know?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I probably keep pamphlets in my purse because I think that it's an experience that is unique. Especially getting civically engaged for those people who really want to make a difference in their communities, who want to know more about how their local government, how their state government works. It's an opportunity that you don't want to pass up.
And Jay, I'll ask you the same question. Are you out there trying to get some other people that you know to participate in this?
Certainly, yeah. I think my experience was tremendous. Going through this program and really just helped me to expand my knowledge base first off and really stretch in different areas as a leader as well. I think it certainly helped from that angle just as we worked through the project together. We had a group of almost 30 people trying to formulate a project plan, and can be somewhat complicated and somewhat difficult to come to agreement in some cases.
Hold that thought for just a second, because when we come back, we're going to drill down into what you actually do during the Civic Leadership Academy and how you benefited from a special project. Stay with us. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome back to this week's Insider. We are talking about the Jefferson Educational Society Civic Leadership Academy as applications open for a new class. Again, with Angela Beaumont, Director of Operations for the Jefferson, and two alums from the program, Jay Schaefer and Yamora Shakur Hooker. So let's talk about what actually goes on during the Leadership Academy. Jay, you just participated in last year's class. We have some photos here, so tell us a little bit about all the different things that you did.
Sure. First off, we take a trip to Harrisburg, and that's really where we integrate both from the state level and then also meet the local delegates that are in Harrisburg as well, and get to know just how things are operating down there and get a better understanding of the key challenges that the state faces, as well as some of the initiatives that are moving forward locally as well.
So there's your class there with the delegation of representatives from our region. You also got to meet with the Lieutenant Governor, I believe?
That's correct, yep. And Governor Wolf as well, yeah.
Terrific. This is back in Mill Creek Township, so you do go around to some of the townships and municipalities and learn more about local governments as well?
Yes, exactly, yeah. So this was in Mill Creek here. Yeah, and it's a great experience there. We spoke a lot about wastewater management in that session there.
Another photo there in Harrisburg. So what did you get out of meeting with the governor and the lieutenant governor? Did you get to ask specific questions?
Yeah, I think we spent the most time with Governor Wolf. The lieutenant governor actually, unfortunately, was in a Senate session, and so there was only so much time we actually had with him. But yeah, we spent probably the better part of 45 minutes and just a very open conversation, and it was pretty much open season, and he was very very considerate of our time, and definitely was very open to conversation. So it was a really nice experience, yeah.
This is kind of a social gathering, and you did mention, Yamora, that was a good family relationship building thing. And what we're looking at here is the cover of a publication that you put together on the blue economy, and this is the project that you mentioned, Jay. Tell us about this project, what your class did and why.
Yeah, certainly. The one unique thing about the Academy is that the alumni essentially makes the decision on what project that you're going to work through. And so the Blue Economy was the project for the 2019 cohort.
If people don't know what that means, explain.
Yeah, so the Blue Economy is essentially, it's a very broad topic, and it's one of the key challenges we have with the project itself. But it's essentially looking at both growth and sustainability as it pertains to the use of natural resource, that being for Blue Economy, water resources. And so as we think about that in Erie County, we've got the challenge as our economy really has shifted, from a strong manufacturing base, which we still have, but really more to a services economy. The Lake Erie, Presque Isle Bay and its tributaries are a key component of that transition as tourism becomes more and more of a key component of our growth.
And water levels really high right now too, so that's an interesting factor. And you're going to be presenting your findings publicly if people want to learn more about the work that you did. And when is that?
That's right, yeah. So that'll be on April 15th, where we'll take a deeper dive into how we broke this topic down. And I think that was one of the key challenges, is really, given the broad topic, how do we break it down into pieces that are pretty digestible and then also important to Erie County. And so we made that a key focus as we went through, and we ended up focusing on science, infrastructure, and economic development as it pertains to the Blue Economy. And so really we thought about education around the topic, because it is just somewhat of a new topic and something that isn't as broadly broadcasted locally as probably it should be, frankly. So we're hoping to get some more traction with that.
So Yamora, you were actually in the class the year before,
yes.
Jay. So what was your favorite part of the experience, and what project did you work on, and did that make a difference?
Yes. So our cohort of 2018, our topic that the alumni chose for us was poverty. And just like Jay mentioned, poverty is a large, encompassing topic. So we did struggle quite a bit trying to narrow down what our focus wanted to be. What we ended up completing was we created a metric that measures poverty in its relationship based on accessibility and availability of food items as well as income. At the time, this is going back to data from 2018, some of the poorest zip codes in Pennsylvania are right here in Erie City. So what we wanted to do was focus on a basic basket of goods and the costs associated with those items, and correlate that with income as well as how accessible certain food items were. And what we found was that food is available, there is availability of food, but it's the accessibility part is an issue, because there are some food desert areas, and there's also a problem with getting fresh foods and vegetables in Erie County.
Quality of the food,
quality
and
of the
transportation
food.
issues.
Correct.
Too. So Angela, you don't want these to just be academic exercises. How do these projects make a difference in our community?
The projects are making a difference because they address these issues, and we also present them to the public and talk to elected officials about the project findings. I'm just citing here a project from 2016 that was looking into the blight problem in Erie. And so they developed an action guide to fight the blight and took this into the community. And we've heard from elected officials that this has been a very helpful guide for themselves to use in their own municipalities.
Certainly providing some data and some inspiration and some impetus to do some things. Well, thank you so much for explaining that. The Jefferson, as we mentioned, has added on the Ramey Fellows program for people who've already gone through the civic leadership training. We'll tell you a little bit more about that when we come back. Well, welcome back again to The Insider. I'm Lisa Adams. Today it's all about the Jefferson Educational Society Civic Leadership Academy with my guests Angela Beaumont, Jay Schaefer, and Yamora Shakur Hooker. So, Yamora, you added on the Ramey Fellows program going beyond the Civic Leadership Academy. So tell us what the purpose of that is and tell us a little bit about your experience.
Well, the Ramey Fellowship was an additional component to the overall project. Only a certain number of people went through this. The goal was first of all to go through some leadership classes, so learning different leadership theory and that you can even bring back into your own workplace or your own organizations. The largest component was it was an actual individual project that each fellow completed that ended up being printed.
So I know that part of what you do in Ramey Fellows is you get to go to Washington, D.C. and make some connections, rub some elbows there. We have a couple of pictures. So talk about what you did there. I think we have a class picture in D.C. This is a really small group, right?
Yes.
How many people?
Oh, I think there were we started with a large number, only 5 completed the actual program, so that's all us there in Washington, D.C. It was cold and a little dreary, but we were certainly happy to be there. That was an amazing trip.
And you visited the Cato Institute?
Yes, we did. We visited Cato, we visited Brookings, and we also visited Heritage.
And I think we have a picture of you at Cato.
Yes.
There we go. What did you get out of that visit? What did you learn about these think tanks?
Well, first of all, it was an opportunity for us to actually share the work that we did. Each of us was very proud of the work we completed, and that's the Ramey Ideas. That's a compilation of all the essays that we compiled. Able to share ideas with people who are at the forefront in D.C. about talking policy change. So we were really there on the ground, able to speak on our passion projects as well as share those ideas with them.
And what was your essay about?
My essay was about creating a urban gardening network that would that would compile additional areas in the city where neighbors can actually community garden.
So this also sort of sprung out of your group project from Civic Leadership Academy. So what kind of, did they give you some coaching there on your ideas, and are your ideas going to be implemented here? I mean, does going through all of this make you want to run for office or be on more boards, or what are you thinking?
Absolutely, we definitely got coaching and we got guidance regarding how to structure our papers, because like I said, it's been a while since I've been out of school, so like this was new and trying to figure out how to create this project. I do hope to actually implement my project. I really would love to see an actual network of gardens in the city area that our neighbors in our community actually create, and where we can create our own produce, especially in those areas that don't have access to fresh foods.
So, Angela, how do people go on to do the Ramey Fellowship part of things? Are they handpicked, or do they apply?
They apply, and we're accepting alumni from the Leadership Academy.
So it doesn't have to be like right out of the last year's class?
It can be both. It can be like you going through the program or you're an alumni. And when you're in the program, you would add that in your application. I'm interested to participate in the Ramey Fellowship program. Write out a passage on why you think you would like to learn more about the leadership theories. And if you already know, have a topic in your mind. Then we will have a selection committee look into those applications and get back in touch with you.
Jay, how about you? I mean, are you looking for a practical application of the things that you learned in this experience as far as boards or running for office or maybe going on to Ramey?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something I've been thinking about. I think the Ramey is definitely the next step, and so I will consider that definitely at a future date. And then also I think just engagement locally. I've certainly started to form some of my own personal opinions. I've started to get more passionate about different things going on locally and paying more attention to the news. So I've really come out of my shell
We
a
like
little
to hear
bit,
that.
which is great. Yeah, so it's just a matter of time, and I think I'll find the right niche, kind of see how things shake out here. But I'm definitely open to that and would certainly like to integrate within the community more so than I have in the past, and this has been great.
Well, again, as we mentioned earlier, you are taking the applications now for people who want to take part in this. And when we come back, we're going to tell you all you need to know to apply. And we'll also tell you about the special project that's planned for this year's class. Stay with us. Oh, welcome back once again to The Insider. It's all about the Jefferson Educational Society Civic Leadership Academy with my guests, Angela Beaumont from the Jefferson and Jay Schaefer and Yamura Shakur Hooker, who have been through the program. We're just joking about how I'm too old to apply because generally the focus is on building young leadership here between 25 and 45. So this year there is a special project for the class, and was mentioned here before. It's chosen by those who have gone on before. So what's it going to be this year?
Yeah, so we invited the alumni back into the Jefferson. We said it's time to pass on the torch. Please do some brainstorming on what you think is interesting for the next cohort, what are issues in Erie that they can explore. And we had a couple, yeah, and it was picked just like 2 weeks ago, artificial intelligence and the future of work in Erie County. So I think that's a very exciting topic, especially if you look into how much media attention artificial intelligence receives right now, and scholars are looking into it, policymakers. So I think there's going to be a lot of excitement around that. And
Erie is a really good place for that to be happening with what's going on at both Gannon, Mercyhurst, Barron, Edinboro, and really the Innovation District and IHAC and all of those things. So applications are open, as we mentioned, on a rolling basis. So forms to fill out, essays to write, what do people need to do to apply, and what is the deadline? Well, the deadline is May 15th, so you do have a little bit of time left here. The application is best done online. I was just received an application 2 days ago, and somebody said this was really easy, so I believe him. I think we fine-tuned the application process. We do ask you to be not too short. Don't write a little bit out. It's not there's no limit on space. So we have some information about you before we interview you as well. And then you're admitting people on a rolling basis, so they could know very soon that they were accepted. Now, Jay, you mentioned you got a scholarship to do this through Erie Insurance. What's the cost of doing it, and do people's employers often pay for it? Is there money to help out? Right. So we do have a tuition because it's it's not for free. It's like we include all these trips and accommodation, lodging, and transportation. So it is not free. The tuition is $1,500. However, we do have scholarship funding available, and we'd like you to note that in your application as well. And it's a month-long program, right? It is. It starts in June and ends in January next year. So covering several months of programming. All right, this is the last minute of the program. So Jay, give us your 15-second pitch on why somebody should do this.
No, I think at the end of the day, really, this is a great opportunity to meet new people. The team at the Jefferson was fantastic to work with. Good people. They make it fun. So I think you're learning a lot. You're becoming a better version of yourself, I think, through this program, and then also having a lot of fun while you do it.
All right, time's up.
It's been good.
Shakur, your turn.
I would say that it's imperative for you to want to be involved in your community. It helps you get out of the home for those who might not have those opportunities. For the Ramey Fellowship, you get to go to Washington, D.C. and pitch policy.
All right. Thanks to all three of you for being with us today, and thank you for joining us. As always, you can email me with ideas for the program, and you can also watch all of our insiders online at erienewsnow.com. Good day.